Welcome back, everybody, to the WP-Tonic show. My name is Adrian. I am the CEO and founder of Groundhog, and we're here today with a lovely guest, Sekander from Tutor LMS, and I'm also joined by my co-host, Jonathan. Jonathan, just want to pop in and say hi there.
Oh, hi there, folks. And this is episode 474 as well.
Thank you. And Sekander, why don't you just pop in and say hi as well?
Hi, I'm Sekander Badsha from Tutor LMS plugin.
Awesome. This episode of the WP-Tonic show is brought to you by Kinsta, probably one of WordPress's greatest hosts. If you are using WordPress for your business, and hosting is a very, very, very important part of that. You are essentially married to your host for a long period of time. And whenever you switch hosts, it's kind of like getting a divorce, and it can be an arduous and very taxing process and an expensive one. Just like the real thing. So if you want to get yourself into a long-term relationship with a host that will last probably your lifetime and is just a wonderful place to be, and they make you feel loved, and they'll make you dinner and cook you eggs and breakfast. I mean, they won't do that, but it feels like that when you log into their very, very nice user interface to do all of your WordPress management in their back end. They have an excellent, probably one of the top rated, and at least in my opinion, support teams available out there in order to get your problems resolved as quickly as possible. So if you're interested in finding out more about the hosting relationship of your dreams, head on over to kinsta.com and let them know that you heard about them on the WP-Tonic show. Alrighty, so Sekander, why don't you just tell us a little about your background, your role at Tutor LMS, and how you got started in the WordPress community?
Okay, I started in the WordPress community back in 2012 when I was in my college, or in America, you can say it was high school. So in my high school days, I was a translator for WordPress.com and WordPress.org. So I started my journey from there. I've also worked for open source projects like Mozilla, and for Linux project like Linux Mint, or like for Ubuntu. So all the Bangladeshi communities, Southeast Asian communities, I have worked with them remotely and in person or workshops. And that was my childhood days. And after that, I started with some customer support job at a company named WeDevs, Dokan plugin. So that was my first WordPress company. And later I have moved to a couple of companies, and my current company is Themeum. It's a brand of Joomshaper. Joomshaper works with Joomla products, and it's one of the top 3 companies in the world. So Themeum is just a brand of Joomshaper, and Themeum builds plugins and themes. As I am talking about Tutor LMS, so I want to give a background about Tutor LMS, where it came from. It came from a theme, because you know from the company name Themeum. So we were basically known for themes, and we were planning for an educational theme named EduMax. And for the theme, we were building a system. And later we realized that we can make it a standalone system and remove the dependency from themes. So this is how Tutor LMS started.
And Tutor LMS is a learning management system, kind of like Lifter LMS or LearnDash, right?
Yes, Tutor LMS is quite similar to LearnDash and Lifter LMS.
So your expertise is in the support area, the communications area. Often some of the most overlooked aspects of running a business. Everybody wants to start up a plugin business or start up a learning management business, and they're like, well, I'm gonna host this content on the internet, and I'm gonna put it out there. I'm going to collect all of the money that people are going to pay me for. And then all of a sudden they get an email. It's like, my login's not working. And that's kind of like where the support conversation is like, oh, I didn't sign up for that. And I learned that the hard way when I started developing plugins and running my first business. It's like, oh my God, there's like mountains of support. And so that's a lot of where you're familiar with. So I'd love to, So I'd love to know some of the kind of expectations people should have. A lot of people that listen to the show are in building mode, right? They're pre-launch. They are kind of like how I was. They're excited to launch and start collecting money and getting customers. What expectations would you set for these people once they've actually launched the products, in terms of what support what support systems they should have in place in order to avoid kind of being absolutely crushed by people asking for help?
Okay, so I tried to be an entrepreneur for 2 times. So I also know how it fails and how to fail and how to fail better. So I always tried.
Entrepreneurship is just like is just exceeding or just like multiple steps of failure, and every time you just fail a little bit less, and you until you're eventually there. Like that's entrepreneurship right there.
I had too much confidence because I have been working in the industry for like 4 or 5 years. So I thought I know everything and I can start a company of my own. So I always try to find the ideas from the customer support forum, like WordPress.org forum or like a Reddit thread, or there are multiple support forum of other companies. Those are open to the public. So I always try to look from there and try to find a problem. It can be a very simple and silly problem. I have a plugin called change add to cart button text for WooCommerce. That's a 6-line code and 6-line code plugin that has 4,000 active installs. So I found the idea from support forum for WooCommerce, and I copied the code from WooCommerce documentation and turned it into a plugin so that people can just one click and install the code and customize it from the settings panel. So this is how I found my idea for first plugin. And currently, I also try to look at the support forums from competitor plugins or other products, or like I always try to align with the top plugins like WooCommerce or Jetpack or other products. So I try to find out the problems of the customers or people that are struggling with. So this is where the product research or product idea research begins. It is not that when you think that at midnight that I found something, eureka. Not the eureka moment. The eureka moment might work or might not work because you don't know people does it need yet or not. The case with Qubely or Gutenberg plugin. This is, we thought that people might need it or it might be a valuable product for the future. But Tutor LMS, it started from a cause or started from a problem because none of the LMS solutions had a front-end interface. None of the plugins did not have integrated add-on system, or none of the existing plugins had extensive solutions so that people can customize from their own themes or customize their own way they want. So this is how Tutor LMS started, from problems, from solving problems. And when we are moving on or when we are trying to get sales, that also comes from people. So we try to find out where people hang out, where people stay regularly or discuss their problems regularly. There are multiple groups like WP Crafter or MarTechWise. There are a couple of Facebook groups that I found. Some of my friends introduced to the groups. So I went to them and asked, would you be interested in a lifetime deal? You know that we ran a lifetime deal, and that was a very good starting point for us. So that also helped. So I tried to find people who are facing problem. I tried to find people who are willing to buy something, a good solution, a better solution, and that they can invest for a long time. And currently, I have a Facebook group for Tutor LMS. So in the group, I discuss what is the next thing you are expecting, or how do you like our latest integration? Like we have released integration for Oxygen Builder recently. So I tried to understand how they're using that and what problems they're facing. And I tried to post a poll so that they can respond that this is how we expect, or this is the problems we are facing. So depending on that, or based on those feedback, I try to set up the meetings with the company, because I am the customer advocate there. So depending on those feedback, we decide our next roadmap or next plan for products. So you can see from the starting point, from the selling point, or from planning the future, everywhere people are involved, everywhere the users are involved, everywhere we're trying to solve the problem.
It's not just, I come up with a great product idea, launch it, and then it's just immediately wild successful. There's you specifically have outlined like a several different steps of research and development, and then actually like communicating with your community in order to get feedback on what they'd actually find useful, right?
Yes, people are always there to help you. So there's nothing to be worried about.
Awesome. Jonathan?
Right. So when it comes to learning management systems, what do you think are some of the leading trends that in e-learning and around learning management systems?
Okay, the recent major challenge we are facing at this moment with video hosting, that video sizes are quite big, and the hostings also need dedicated bandwidth. So that is a problem. And another problem comes with video is protecting the videos, or having copyrights, or protecting them from downloading or video piracy. So these are the major problems we're trying to solve at this moment. One problem we have solved already, that is if you upload the videos directly to a WordPress hosting or upload directly from MP4 source. So we mask the URL through a JavaScript. So it is masked for every single user. So no one can download it. And for the hosting part, we are still trying to figure out an easy way to integrate Amazon SES or like Google Cloud or everything, so that we can have a bulk pricing for our users and make setup more smooth, and they can start more smoothly like any other for hosted solutions.
So are you saying people want to move away from YouTube and Vimeo traditionally and start doing a lot of self-hosting videos?
Yes, YouTube is a public platform, so there are too many downloaders for YouTube, too many browser extensions for YouTube or for Vimeo, because those are common platforms. So those are very easy to get pirated or leaked or copied. People often download videos and upload on torrent, or they host on their own site and try to resell their products. Like there's a $40 course on Udemy, they download and try to sell it for $5. So this is a very common case these days. So this is why we do not encourage users to go to Vimeo. Instead, we try to encourage them to go for WooPlayer or for Publitio or for Wistia or for other famous video hosting services that tries to protect the content as much as possible.
Right. So is there when does video piracy actually become a problem? Do you have like any reference for when someone should actually consider investing time and resources into protecting their content?
When you're just beginning to develop your content, like you're developing content for musicians, you're developing content for artists, or you're developing content for corporate clients, these cases are very rare because these audience are not that much techy and they won't go to torrent sites or they won't go to some other cheap or unknown sites. Rather than that, they will try to go to Udemy or any other famous site or to a famous course. So in those cases, there is nothing to be worried about piracy. They can easily use YouTube or Vimeo or any other platform they want. And in these cases, they also often don't get that much big of traffic. And if there is big traffic, they can always afford Amazon hosting. So the piracy happens for tech courses, like for programming courses or for like web development courses, because those people know how to download those content or host those content or make them copyright less. So this is when the issue starts. So if you're trying to go big and if you're a big brand, then you should think from beginning. But if you're just starting out for web development resources or for WordPress resources for beginners, you don't need to worry about. When you are getting like 1,000 traffic or 1,000 users or 1,000 paid users a month, then you should start thinking about protecting your content because you are going famous now.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. So if you're starting, you heard it here first, there's no point in trying to protect videos before you have any traffic. I see a lot of that. People kind of like putting the cart before the horse, as it were, trying to get everything ready to go before they show it to anybody. And then they spend all this money on protection and Amazon SES or Amazon Web Services and all of that stuff. And then nobody visits their site. It happens all too often. Jonathan?
Yes. So what are some of the other features of Tutor that you're the most proud of, that you think gives the best functionality to your user base?
Okay, so I think the multi-instructor feature for Tutor LMS is very helpful to the users, because oftentimes when you have a big team or you are trying to work for professional products, some people develop or edit the videos, some people work on the transcripts, some people work on the text-based lessons or like for PDF guides or everything. So you have 6 or 7 people working on the same course. So if you have multiple people access to the course, they can upload their content and work simultaneously. So they can collaborate for the one single course or one same course. So for the multiple instructors working on the same course, that is also helpful. And if you want to have one instructor for one course or one person maintaining one course, that is also helpful. And as we have a front-end interface, so if people want to build a WAS platform, website as a service, or like they want to allow their friends to use their website, they don't need to give them backend access or WordPress admin access. They can handle everything from WordPress frontend and with our front-end interface. And for other e-learning solutions, they have e-commerce integrations with third-party plugins like WooCommerce or some other things. Those are very complicated to integrate because you have to create a product, then tag it to the course, and also tag the course to the product. So that's a very complicated process. But from our front end, you don't need to create any product or connect any product or anything. Everything happens in the backend. You just set a price, and the configured plugin in the backend will do everything in the background. So I think these 3 steps or these 3 key features are very important, or what it sets Tutor LMS apart from any other competitors in the market.
Thank you. So I think we're going to go for our break. And after the break, when we come back, Sekander told me before we started that he really wants to talk about building a community and the steps that you can take if you're building a community or at least starting your business, that and why building a community is important. So we're going to take our break and we'll be right back. And welcome back. We are going to start, we're going to take a little bit of a shift. Sekander has mentioned to me that he is he's very experienced in building online and digital communities around businesses and products. And we're going to ask him why that's important, and secondly, how you actually go about that. So Sekander, why is having an online community super important? Why is it not enough to just have a product or just have a course? Why is the community aspect important?
Okay. In the first place, when you start working or start developing a product or start studying for a product, let's say even if you have a big team, 40 or 50 people, you are limited to that team and you are limited to the knowledge of the 40 or 50 people. 40 and 50 people team is not that much small, and not everyone can afford a 40-50 people team, right? So even if you have a big team, still you are limited to them. But if you have a community or if you have a common space like a forum or Reddit thread or like a Facebook group, then you have access to thousands of people, and in many cases for hundreds and thousands of people. Let's say WooCommerce or let's say Jetpack, the common plugins, they have hundreds and thousands of users. So your data gets increased, you have a bigger set of data access to, and you have bigger sets of problems access to. So this is how you begin your study for a product, or this is how you start planning for your product. So if you have a community or if you have a place to go to, then you are not working alone, or you are not limited to that 40 or 50 people in your area or in your country or in your locality. This is the first point. And on the second point, when you start selling, traditionally what people do, they start doing Google AdWords or they start advertising in other sites, and to some extent people go to Product Hunt or to TechCrunch. So even if you go to those bigger sites and go to for paid advertising and start building content and start getting audience, still you are limited to people, to those keywords, still you are limited to those sites, and you have to spend a lot, even if you are developing content in-house or even if you are posting to external sites like Product Hunt or TechCrunch, because you always end up paying someone, right? So those are paid channels. But if you go to a community, no one is going to ask you for money if you post something there for Facebook group. We found a lot of Facebook groups that do not charge any money, and they let you promote your product, or you can just promote your product in exchange of affiliate commission, and that is not that too much, and you don't have to pay them upfront. If you make any sales, then only you pay the affiliates. If you do not make any sales, you don't have to pay a penny. This is a very crucial part for company starting or product starting, because you do not have any money upfront, because you are already paying to the developers, you are already spending a hell lot of money to pay the salaries, and then you find shortage in the marketing costs, or you might end up spending too much money in the marketing and you might not be able to pay the developers, which happened in my case. I couldn't pay my developers and I had to stop my company. So these are the common mistakes, and these are the common help you get from the community when you're developing your product or when you start selling your product. And at this point, if you stop and if you do not build a community for your own products, or you do not build, or if you do not build a community of your users for your products, you get stopped or stuck within those communities or the customers of your product. So you are not getting any new fans, or you're not getting any feedback to improve the product, or you don't get to know the problems. Because even if you're going to have a customer support portal, or you communicate through emails or forums, those people are coming one by one, and the other users don't know what problems other users are facing. So if they're discussing everything in a open space, or they have access to the products, then they can communicate with each other and they can vote for the problems, and you know the depth of the problems or how many people are going through those problems. So those also helps you.
Thank you. The dog obviously wants to get some words in in the background. Ooh. There. He's like, I want to help. I want to be part of the community. I remember when we were first getting started out, the community aspect. We have a Facebook group, and we tried to get as many people as possible into that Facebook group as kind of like a first line support. And it's a wonderful thing because you essentially offload a lot of support that you have to do onto your community. It allows other people to help other people without you essentially having to monitor it, which is a super huge benefit, especially if you're on a small team, you're handling a significant number of support tickets. And you mentioned about going to other people's communities as well. And that's something that I was totally guilty of the first time, or a year ago. I just go to other people's communities and talk to whoever the group owner was, the group moderator, say like, hey, listen, I got this thing and I'd love to share it with your audience. Here's an affiliate link. And I did that with several people to moderate success. So super valuable advice there to anybody who has yet to launch their product or is in the process of launching their product, and you need to find some new life, or you need to find a new audience to share. Go find other people's audiences and give them an affiliate link, and then write a post. So that's all well and good, and that's, you know, a lot of great reasons for why community is important, why you should have one. Part of the problem that the reason most people don't have communities is because they don't know how to put one together. So what would you recommend as starting points in order to actually start building a community and getting people in there? And then probably the hardest part is, because you can have a community with 1,000 people in it, but it's not going to do any good unless people are active within it. So two-part question: how do you get people in there in the first place? And then how do you make sure that they're actually active? They're posting, they're commenting, they're interacting with content. What do you do to make that happen?
Okay, even if it's for our own group or even the content is for an external group, I don't post anything random or post anything that I want to share or I want them to know. I try to share things that they want to know. Not from my side, I try to always think from their side. And I also try to involve with the communities. Let's say there is a community for WordPress beginners or beginner users. So I will try to help them with their issues, even if it's not related to our product. So in this way, they know my name. They know that there is something called Sekander and he works with something. So this is how I try to build my own face value. And forums are still famous. So if you are going to have a forum on your own site, then you are getting keywords and traffic and new content, because those forum threads are also a new page. So you are going to have error messages on those forums, and people often end up pasting the whole error message in Google. So you are getting traffic, those forum threads, and you can maintain a community in your own website forum. And if you see that your users are going to Facebook, or when you're promoting things on Facebook, people are interacting on Facebook, you can try having a Facebook group. Or you can sometimes go to Reddit and see if people from Reddit are coming to your channel or your thread or your Ask Me Anything thread. Or you can go to Twitter and post something with a hashtag and see if people retweets or people finds it well. So there are multiple channels, and you have to test and try that which channel works better, or which channel has more traffic, or which channel has interested people in our product or our community. So one channel might not fit everyone, and all of the channels might not always work. So you always have to test and try and everything. And we always try to send traffic to those channels. Like Facebook group is main thing for us. So we try to send all of our traffic to our Facebook group. We tell people via email that join our Facebook group. We tell people on Twitter that we have a Facebook group. We tell people from our landing pages, product pages, that we have a Facebook group. So all of our attention is focused on the Facebook group. So the best channel is working for us. So we try to gather all the traffic there, or all the crowd there in the one place. So it makes us easier to maintain. And always the content has to be relevant to the users, what people want to see, and there has to be space for people to speak, and there has to be space for people to show their interest, put their input. It can be a wall, or it can be a dead end where people just know things and say, okay, you got something good, best of luck, and they move on. Not like that.
So how do you mentioned that you have to find out from your users actually what they want to hear, which I think is probably some of the best advice from today. Build or give people what they want, not what you want necessarily, right? Because your job as an entrepreneur, as a product developer and a product person, is to deliver and solve problems that your customers have, not the ones that you have. So how do you ask, or how do you find out what it is that your customers are struggling with? Do you just ask? Like, do you make a poll? Like, what specifically step-by-step process do you use in order to get feedback from your customers so you can create good content?
Okay, so my contents are not that good content or bad content. Sometimes it's just one single line. Sometimes it's a very long paragraph saying that this is what we are planning, and if you can help us finalizing those or prioritizing those, or we have a Trello board where you can vote for features, and we can also update you about which can be done earlier or which can be done later. So there we have some like fill in the gaps. So there are some gaps that users can fill up. So this is where they start gathering, and this is where they start speaking. And also we always have emails going up and people are requesting us for features. Let's say there's a new plugin called wishlist members. So 2 or 3 people asked us that there's a new plugin in AppSumo named wishlist and we want integration for that. So I thought as 3 people recommended, there could be 5 more people that might be interested. So I can just go and ask, would you like to have an integration for wishlist? Or we are planning for Oxygen builder integration. So how do you want this to work? You want to break everything and make everything from scratch, or would you want us to have a ready-made template and start with that? So this is the place they put their input, and this is the place they say, oh no, we don't want Oxygen builder, we want Elementor builder or something. So we get another topic to talk about. Then we start talking about Elementor, that there is an existing solution for Tutor LMS. So how can we make it better? So they start working. So we always have a starting point from emails or for feature requests or from any other comments or any other products. Then we continue from there. So even if here you can see that people are always helping us to start with a new topic, start with a new feature, or start with a new discussion. It's all people.
It's all people. We have a few minutes left to wrap up. Jonathan, you want to get any final questions in?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, how popular is WordPress in your part of the world? Basically, obviously, WordCamp Asia had to be cancelled, unfortunately, for obvious reasons. But what is the state of the WordPress community in general in your part of the world?
Okay, I'm from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and you can look up WordCamp Dhaka. We had it last year, and this was the first ever WordCamp in our country, and all of the organizers have never arranged a WordCamp in Bangladesh in our country. So some of us worked outside Bangladesh, and some of us arranged local meetups, but we ended up selling 800 tickets within just 12 minutes. So there was 800 attendees, and they bought tickets within 12 minutes. And we couldn't allow more people as it was our first WordCamp, and WordCamp Central wanted to allow just 200 or 300 people, but we had like more than 1,500 people interested in those WordCamp. So we ended up having a WordCamp with including volunteers, everyone, 1,000 users, but there were more than that. At least there are like 22,000 people in WordPress Dhaka group, WordPress Bangladesh group. So we have around like 25 or 26,000 people in Bangladesh, and most of them are developers. If you look up developers from Bangladesh or statistics for developers from Bangladesh, we are standing in the 3rd position after United States and India. Bangladesh has the largest developer community.
Wow. So basically it's exploded. We better wrap it up and continue that part of the discussion in our bonus content. Adrian, do you want to wrap up the show?
Yeah, so Sekander, where can people find out more about you, what you're up to, and where can they find about how to join your Facebook community?
Okay, Tutor LMS link is facebook.com/groups/Tutor LMS, and you can easily find it, or you can just Google Tutor LMS, and you can email us, or you can knock us in Themeum Facebook page or Themeum Twitter page. Anywhere, you can just ask us, and we will send you the link. Nothing to worry about.
And so Tutor LMS is a free version, correct?
Yes, it's available in WordPress.org, and today we crossed the 5,000 users mark. We have 5,000 active installs today.
That's awesome. I wish I would wake up to 5,000 active installations. That'd be a fun day.
That's a very small number. That's a very small number.
Well, if like 30% of those are like premium, then it's not such a small number anymore. Jonathan, how can people interact with you, and do you have a community?
Well, me? No, we need to discuss that. But obviously, a Facebook group would be great. It's just moderating it, but I should
probably get on that.
Yes, really, yes, we should do. Maybe we can discuss that, Adrian. But the main thing, folks, if you really want to support the show, is to go to the WP website, join our monthly newsletter that has been revamped. In the next week, we're going to make it a lot easier for you to join the newsletter as well. But if you can do that, download one of my lead magnets, and you'll be automatically be able to join our monthly newsletter, where we're going to have all kind of WordPress stories that I've chosen. Also the recommendation from the panelists from our roundtable show. The key recommendations will be listed in the newsletter. So there's going to be a lot of resources and new resources in the newsletter during this year. Over to you, Adrian.
So if you want to find out about how you can start building a list, building your email marketing list, so you too can send out newsletters, then you can head on over to groundhogwith2gs.io to download our free plugin in the WordPress repository that will allow you to build lists, create sales funnels, and send out emails to your subscribers. And we have a Tutor LMS integration. So if you're using Tutor LMS and you want a deep integration with your email marketing platform, then we have an integration for Groundhog and Tutor LMS. You can also find more about that on the website. So thank you everybody for listening, and stick around for bonus content. All right, here we are in bonus content. Thank you everyone for sticking around. We wanted to discuss, what did you want to discuss, Jonathan?
Well, you said that, you also have a parent company that's one of the biggest providers in the world of Joomla. So is the world of Joomla very different to the world of WordPress? And if there are some differences you've noticed, what are they?
Okay, Joomla is different in two terms. In the backend, the code structure is different from WordPress, as it follows a MVC pattern, model view controller. So that's a bit complicated to start with. It has a learning curve. So this is why the developer community is comparatively small compared to WordPress, because anyone can start building things in WordPress because the code is very open and very easy to start with. But I personally believe Joomla is not that easy. In my early days, I tried to be a Joomla developer, but I failed very badly. And from the users end, Joomla has too many features, and features you can never think of, or feature you never thought you will need. So it is a very heavy platform, and it is designed for very heavy websites with everything ready inside them. For WordPress, if you need SEO, then you might install something like Yoast or some other SEO extension, but Joomla has that thing built in. In WordPress, you might need some kind of content management or schema or anything. You always have to install a plugin. WordPress is very bare bones, and you always have the option to install plugins and add features. But Joomla comes everything pre-installed. If you ask me the difference from an user end, I personally am not that happy with the design or the extensibility of Joomla. But from Joomshaper, we are trying to work with the Joomla developers and Joomla community, and we have designed a version of Joomla 4, a major version of Joomla 4 from our end and user experience. If you search our Dribble account or Behance account to see the new design, so I can share with you later the link, and you can see the design we are thinking about and revamping and everything modernizing. So that is under discussion. So we are trying to contribute to the Joomla community very dedicatedly. We have a dedicated team for Joomla support, Joomla community support, and we are also thinking about that for WordPress as well.
Oh, right.
So how much of the company is dedicated to Joomla versus how much is dedicated to WordPress? Is it mostly Joomla?
Yes, till now, our biggest team is working for Joomla. We have like around 8 designers, and we have like 25 or 28 developers. Most of them working for Joomla projects, and like 12 or 16 developers are working for our WordPress products. And we have like 6 or 7 in-house support staff and 6 and 7 in-house support staff for Themeum. And we also have some remote staff working around the clock from all over the world. So in total, we are around 50 or 52 people for 2 brands, Joomshaper and Themeum.
So we're just on the Joomla topic now. So I'm just gonna continue going down that road. What if someone was like, I don't know, most of the people that listen to this podcast are WordPress people already. But if you were like, let's say, choosing a CMS, before you had committed to WordPress or anything else. What scenarios would you recommend that people investigate Joomla a little bit more thoroughly before just kind of saying yes to WordPress? Are there specific use case scenarios or specific types of sites that Joomla would certainly benefit the end user versus WordPress?
Yes, as I work for both on the customer end or both on the developer end. So if speaking from developer's perspective, Joomla can hold a lot of load without extra manipulations or extra optimizations. Joomla can take a lot of traffic and take a lot of stress, because Joomla is designed for big sites or big portals. I personally believe, these are totally my personal opinion. And for WordPress, when you start having a lot more traffic or start having a lot more content, then you can start optimizing WordPress and install like WP Smash or install like W3 Tutor Cache or Super Cache. So you start caching things, but the caching system is built in inside Joomla. So you don't have to do much in Joomla. And if you think from a user end, I think the community matters a lot, because you are going to need support, you are going to need resources, and you are going to need options. So if you search about like WooCommerce analytics, you can find that very easily. But in Joomla, there is some extension for e-commerce. You might not find analytics or any other very deep integration in that. So you might need to hire developers. So the developer community is limited, the resources are limited for Joomla. But for WordPress, the resources are very fast. So I always try to think about the supports or available options or the available developers and the cost of the developers. If the community is big, you can find a lot more developers in a lot less cost. But if the community is very small, there is a lot less developers and they're going to charge you a lot. So that also is a very big consideration for projects.
Alrighty, Jonathan.
So, what do you see are the plans for Tutor LMS in the next 18 months? Are there any extra functionality that you can talk about that's on the roadmap for Tutor LMS?
I really wish I could reveal all the plans we have and all the projections we are having and all the projects we are working on, but I'm very strictly restricted from revealing all these features. But I can mention that 100% that we are working on accessibility and giving people the freedom to change everything, to break everything, to make everything any way they want with any tool they want. The starting point was with Oxygen. You can break the entire system and design anything anywhere you want, or break the entire course page anywhere we want. We have integration with Groundhog, thanks to them, for email integration and everything. We have integration with other page builders, so they can make different type of funnels and make courses, and we have integration with membership plugins. So we are opening the way for everyone to collaborate and get into us, and that will continue in 2020 and 2021. And one of the major things we are planning in 2020, that everything is going to come under one single price. If you bought the plugin for $149, then you are going to get all of the features within that price. You won't have to pay anything extra to get other features or other integrations. So we'll try to keep the cost as low as possible and give you as much value as possible. And one thing we cannot compromise anytime, that is our 5-star support. You can go to wordpress.org and see that all of our 82 or 83 reviews are 5 stars. We do not have any 1-star, 2-star, or 3-star reviews. All of them are 5 stars. So that is our main goal for 2020 and 2021, that there will be no compromise for support, and we are always trying for round-the-clock support. We do not have 24/7 support at this moment, but we're trying to introduce that within this year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
88. I just looked it up. It's 88 5-star reviews and one really petty 4-star review in there. Someone said it was getting better, but no, that's incredible. 88 5-star reviews. That must be like, that's a pretty significant, like, high conversion rate for 5-star reviews.
Yes, and it's been awesome. Just 7 months old. Tutor plugins released just last year in March, the first beta version, and we released the pro version in like July or August. So it's not that even 1 year old.
Incredible. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll have to reschedule a year from now so that we can learn more about what the advancements that Tutor LMS has made in the realm of learning management and enabling teachers to empower their students to learn amazing stuff. So thank you so much, everybody. We will see you next week, where we have another wonderful guest join us to share with you some business strategies, some advice, and how to move forward from here. Thank you, and we will see everybody soon.